This is Olbermann versus Trump, and I'm not Trump. So how do we make sure we, the majority, don't have to go through crap like this again, where the minority torches democracy, installs a mentally impaired fascist, tries to subvert the election, and nearly destroys the world? Happily, there's an answer. Cash. I've been talking with the boys over in accounting, and this is their conclusion. We are not getting our money's worth. Not only are we, the majority, being ruled, tyrannized, and terrorized by a minority, but we are paying for them to do it to us. Freshman Representative-elect Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, who believes in QAnon, but not face masks for COVID-19, who believes there is an Islamic invasion, but there's no excuse for Black Lives Matter, we paid for her. Georgia gets about $20 billion a year more from the federal government than it pays in. Freshman Representative-elect Ronnie Jackson, who as White House physician falsified Trump's first physical, then was accused of drinking on the job and overprescribing meds, we paid for him. Texas gets about $36 billion a year more from the federal government than it pays in. And freshman Representative-elect Madison Cawthorn, who 3 years ago rapturously celebrated his visit to Eagle's Nest, the home of Hitler's summer vacation, and said it was on his bucket list. We paid for him. North Carolina gets about $31 billion a year more from the federal government than it pays in. Oh, and Cawthorn celebrated his victory with this three-word tweet. Cry more, lib. To clarify, Mr. Cawthorn, those are not our tears you are drinking. The list goes on endlessly. Re-elected Senator Lindsey Graham, bootlicker, South Carolina. We pay for South Carolina. It costs us $24 billion a year. Re-elected Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, slime of Kentucky. We pay for Kentucky. Costs us $27 billion a year. Florida, the elected and re-elected cretins of Florida, the moronic majority of Florida, we pay for Florida. It costs us $62 billion a year. There has not been a first-term Republican president elected in this country with a majority of the popular vote since George H.W. Bush in 1988. And yet in this election, we again witnessed a pendulum that only swings to the right and back to the middle and never to the left. We, the majority, are in whole or in part under the rule of the minority. The nation gets more diverse, the minority gets more racist. The nation gets more sympathetic, the minority gets more brutal. The nation gets more liberal, the minority gets more Hitler's summer vacation. The nation gets more sick with COVID-19, the minority gets more enamored of conspiracy theories and the political equivalent of witchcraft. But, the minority says, states' rights. We are the United States of America. This is the genius of our glorious government. No huge state can impose its will on the small ones. However, a consortium of the small ones is entitled to impose its will, its evil will, on the large ones. And its Hitler youth can celebrate this by tweeting, "Cry more, libs, states' rights." Okay, we're going with states' rights. You heard that phrase recently? Of course. In another means by which the minority has oppressed and thwarted the majority, states' rights has been the historical revisionism applied to the Civil War. It wasn't about slavery or racism or brutality or the minority owning the majority. It was about states' rights. We're all for states' rights in Donald Trump's America. We here in the minority have all the rights, including one in which you majority losers are required to pay for us. We are not getting our money's worth here. Connecticut pays about $8 billion a year more than it gets back. Massachusetts, it's $9 billion. New Jersey, $12 billion. California, $14 billion. Illinois, $15 billion. New York, $22 billion. All so that the states that cannot fend for themselves can continue to, eat and send QAnon terror cultists and Donald Trump political streetwalkers and Eagle's Nest Nazis to the House and the Senate. This is no way to run a business. And didn't Trump get elected because he was such a great businessman? Isn't that the only thing by which we judge success these days? Money? Business? Business success? Record highs for the stock market? Make sure that the economy is open, and to hell with the 1,000 Americans who will die today of COVID-19 because the mass murderer in the White House didn't give a crap about anything but himself and his power. I'm sorry, Florida and Kentucky and the Carolinas and Texas and Georgia, but we are underwriting you six. Just you six cost us $200 billion a year. Never mind the other states that can't carry their own weight. I hope you understand it's not personal, it's just business. The economy is the most important thing, isn't it? Wasn't that the whole point of this election, at least for Graham and McConnell and the Florida clown car and Green and Jackson and Scharffuhrer Cawthorn? Wasn't that the whole point of Trump lying about COVID-19? Wasn't that literally what the lieutenant governor of Texas, the other Dan Patrick, and boy, doesn't that make me laugh, said about how older Americans should be willing to die to preserve the economy for their grandchildren? Well, I don't have any grandchildren. And bluntly, I'm just thinking of my own economy. But hell's bells, man. The United States of America is a money-losing proposition for us in the financially successful states. I mean, the idea for the first 224 years or so was that we were all in this together and we were all Americans and we all supported each other. And sometimes the president was a Democrat, sometimes he was Republican, but it didn't change the fundamental equation of fairness and mutual support and the rich states taking care of their poorer brethren, and from each state according to its ability to each state according to its needs. You know, socialism. You guys in the red states don't want socialism, do you? And you can see how the economics of this just don't work out for us anymore, especially since you're not only wasting our money, but you're also using us to enslave us in this whole wacky minority rule fixed voting system. So here's the thing. I don't think we should pay you guys any more of our money. We need to be done paying you guys massive debts. We need to look around. We could get a better deal from Canada, or we could just spin off our unit into one or two coastal nations that could generate all the income we need, and maybe even loan you guys cash when your food gets scarce. It's slightly above prime rate, of course. But then again, business is business. What's that, you say? We can't? Wait, aren't you guys originalists? Isn't that the new term? Everything in the, quote, country, unquote, should derive directly from the founding fathers. Isn't that what Senator Braun said about Justice Amy Coney Barrett? She'll protect our freedoms as the founders intended. Isn't that basically what Barrett herself said? The Constitution has the meaning that it had at the time people ratified it. That meaning doesn't change over time. Or am I thinking of another Amy Coney Barrett? Now, I have something else here that the founders actually wrote, which you might want to listen to. Hang on. No, here it is. A declaration of something. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Oh, the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Alter or abolish it. Institute new government. Look, I hear you. There is no reason to be splitting up the country just because we finally figured out that we are carrying you red state losers financially. We can live with it. After all, we're rich. But we'll need some changes going forward. Electoral college goes. And I'm afraid your one-horse states like the Dakotas will have to become one-senator states. Oh, and the Supreme Court, we'll need a different one. Okay, thanks, bye. The tyranny of the minority. We're just not getting our money's worth. I mean, sorry, it's been nice. Spring training in Florida was always fun for me. But my accounting department is just on my ass every day now saying we just can't keep underwriting your losses. I mean, it's just states' rights, and it's just anti-socialism, and it's just stuff the founding fathers wrote. We can work this out. Direct election of the chief executive by the voters works everywhere in the world. Let's try it. If not, we can show ourselves and our wallets out. You'll be fine. Well, no, not really. Good night and good luck.